Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Qué bueno en este horario. No se van a dormir porque es un activo panel.
Good afternoon, everyone. You will not fall asleep because this is a very active panel and we will be talking about a very interesting topic. My name is Alejandra. Yesterday, Nieves in the morning, she would just pull my leg. I'm an agronomist engineer and I started working on service learning many years ago, doing water management in rural communities because there was not network water, but I wanted my students to learn like that. And now I come across my friends and they say, well, this is service learning. So I'm here from the onset of this, and I talk about environment protection and sustainability. This is something that really concerns me in the mid and long term. So in that context, I would like to introduce you to Paula. We've worked together and she has been in contact with each one of you, Paula Basilico, and she will help us in the presentations, not only mine, but the excellent panel members that I will introduce timely. Now, to get started, I just wanted to talk about what are these objectives or these goals. They are established, these 17 SDGs, general goals. Let's see which ones we choose for this panel regarding the United Nations, where we're working with civil society and governments from different countries so as to be able to select these 17 goals. And these are a call to be able to act, but they would make no sense because we understand them too general, but they make no sense unless we go more in depth and you realize that behind these goals there are targets for each goal and there are indicators that need to be measured to see whether we are on the right track. So we have 69 targets. They are distributing among the goals, but you can just do an internet search and there's 232 indicators that for some of the SDGs are repeated, and we have 248 indicators that are measured to see the progress of the SDGs. It's interesting because for Latin America we have selected, we have the same targets but a more specific group of targets according to Latin American issues, and we can access this to make more focus on the problems that you have in your corresponding communes. So what are the ones that we have chosen and that represent us in the different works that we're going to discuss today? One is water. Of course, obviously, it's a very important sustainability of having water as a resource to guarantee the availability and its sustainable and the other one is energy, and we are thinking of energy for all, renewable and safe. A professor was talking about the footprint and emissions, and this is something related to energy. Not only we need to guarantee access, but it needs to be sustainable, safe and modern for all inhabitants. Another goal is cities and communities, sustainable cities and communities. So we talk about housing a lot, but now we're going to focus more on waste. Waste is a topic of a lot of interest in any social group, any city or rural community, because we need to make these cities more inclusive, resilient and safer. Another goal is sustainable and responsible consumption and production. So we are going to talk about sustainable production and also the manufacturing of food, so that they are guaranteed, so that we can all consume, but also responsible, because we always talk about the 3 R's, but there's another one that has to do with reject when something is exceeding my consumption, because if I don't need something, then I have to reject. So there's a lot of sustainable fashion in that. And then climate action, and this is something that was discussed in the previous panel, with urgent measures, not only to fight against this, because our countries are not great GHG emitters, but they receive the climate impact, and our societies need to be resilient and to have adaptation measures for climate change, and life underwater, that is to preserve and use oceans in a sustainable way. This is an important topic in countries like ours, because we have a lot of maritime resources to protect, and also life on land. We talk about reforestation and native species. We need to manage these resources and forests to fight against desertification. So why do we think that these projects of service learning can contribute with these sustainable goals? Because on one hand, they define a problem, but not only for a community, but with the community. And this change that is not for, but with the community, gives us the idea that this could be sustained in time, because the community starts to support us in creating knowledge. So these are developed considering syllabus, and this is what this rigorous learning that Nieves mentioned yesterday. The youth are protagonists, so we need to know who the stakeholders are, the ones that are going to facilitate our work, and we need to entail in relationship with them. We also have to develop an engagement creative process, so we have a community of creation of knowledge, because we have systematization process and assessment process that make all the participants grow, and in that way the impacts that are achieved in this program or project, they improve and they are sustained. So this is the only thing that I wanted to summarize in order to give importance as to how service learning will contribute in this area that is the care of the planet. We have 4 panels. The first one is the Green School Project, Waste Management Project, and we have here, I have her, Doriana Raquel Minguila. She's a professor, she's a mathematician and a professor in cosmographics. She works in Civilcoy, and she has received several awards for innovative teachers and Argentine teachers. And now she will talk about this experience of green schools within the different goals. And the next project, we have 2 teachers from the Danés de Alta, Mira Argentinian school from the city of Necochea, province of Buenos Aires. In both cases, we have Professor García Siri and Ullerup. Juan Manuel García Siri is a professor of forestation and green gardens, so he will go more in depth about some topics that you have seen today, but with a whole proposal of Necochea as a fruit city, but by planting fruit trees in public spaces. And these professors, they also teach at the different levels of the schools, and leads. She trained in hydroponia and aquaponia, and she works on health and environmental management, and they will be presenting. Then we have Daniela Ascencio Muñoz. She's from the University of Santo Tomás from Chile, and she will give us a different approach as to how ecology issues can contribute to a development in the health of children or adults, both. I think that you address both. So she works in community nurses. So we are talking now once again on healthy aging. So everything is recycled, and we come back to the different topics. So she received an award of the good treatment for older adults, and she's also does research in environment and the role of caregivers, and she will tell us about her project. And to the other side, we have Pablo Rush, who's an agronomist engineer, and she's the Secretary of Outreach of the University of Agronomy in the University of Buenos Aires, and he will tell us about the organization and of the social practices that we have in the University of Buenos Aires applied to agronomy. So as a secretary, he is in charge of facilitating these educational and service practices in the University of Buenos Aires, and he is part of many projects all related to the community. He's also a teacher of genetics and agroecology, and he runs a social educative practice, and it has to do with the indigenous and farmer movement in Argentina, and he will tell us about the University of Buenos Aires and the School of Agronomy. So if you agree, we can go with the first presentation. So she can help me with the slides, and I will do the talking.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon. I will talk on behalf of the students who are here, third A and 4A of high school, because they are in charge of the project. I am simply a coordinator, and we are organizing all the road. So we start by saying that our project started in 2018. I'm a math teacher, so we were at a math class and we were going to start doing some surveys, and we had the possibility of saying why our classrooms were so dirty and filthy with papers and bananas or peels or whatever. So we started to carry out a survey at school as to what was the cause for all this. So when we started to see the causes, we started also to do some research as to what we did with that waste. So initially everything started to shape up, and we realized that there was a strategy that we had that was recycling. The community did not know about this, and then we started to investigate with the families of our students. We did not know what recycling was. We didn't know that the city had at the main square, it had a clean spot, and we are about 2.5 kilometers from the square or the park. And we started to talk to the neighbors, asking what was this clean area or clean spot at the square of the park was for. We did not know, so we started to put our project together. And the first thing that we did before doing this research was how did we separate waste, and who could we contact for further training. So through the municipality of Chivilcoy, we hired RSU Ambiental. That's a company that's supporting us in this. They gave us some training. This was under the pandemic, and students that are already graduated, because those who are here with us today have already received the training. So we became environmental promoters thanks to these companies. So we set up an organizational project, because initially what we wanted to do is, we tried to reduce as much as possible all the waste that we're dumping at the school. We wanted to raise awareness from the community as to the importance of recycling and the reasons why it was important. Then we also wanted to reduce the use of packagings that we used and just disposed. And there was also a group of teachers who got together with our students, and we said, okay, what if we start with topics that are related with environment? So the project was born at the math class, and it became an institutional project. We had a lot of difficulties. We had to overcome resistance, but we were able to do it. So our project is based on the SDG 13, that is Action for Climate. And what are the actions that we carried out? Once we had the goals and objectives, what did we do? Well, we created a green patrol at the school, and right now it's at the hands of students of third year. So what this green patrol did is to carry out and organize activities that would take care of the environment. The first one was to start with the schools. So we got containers, one green, one black and white. So we started to teach the students how they had to separate waste, and we started also to write some brochures and add material for the families. We created the Green Day, and then it turned into Eco Barter. So we started always with the school. We asked the students to bring things to recycle, and there was a point in which there were so many things that students brought to be recycled that we had to go outside of the school, and they had to put this clean area to recycle outside the school. It was really very rare to have this clean point in a city as Chivilcoy, but we started to raise awareness by doing this, and we started to tell them how they had to use these containers. In 2022, we said, okay, it's about time that we start with this not only in our school, but what happens with the other schools in Chivilcoy. For those days, the municipality was supporting us by placing more clean points in the city, but many people did not know what they were for. And so we started with this green patrol, organizing talks for the primary and secondary school students. They would just gather in groups and they decide how they will just give the talk. So they are the ones organizing, and the professors only supervise and accompany them to the different schools. Generally speaking, we have a theoretical part where they prepare different material, brochures or posters, PowerPoint, and they give explanations. And then there's part of games. They decide the games in different areas. And last year, for example, we worked with robotics and a game, and then we finish each talk that we give with an agreement, and the agreement is that the school that we visit has to keep on doing climate actions, and they can come to participate in the eco barter, where they exchange some things, and if we can and the school allows us, then we can also place this clean point at the school. And in 2022, we said, okay, we have to move forward and advance. And well, this is the eco barter practice. And what is this? Well, we go with the students to the different parks at Chivilcoy, and we ask the community to bring things to recycle: cardboard, tins, cans, electrical devices they no longer use, and we give them a gift. And the gift comes from RSU Ambiental, that is, they give us bags, and also from INTA they give us seeds, and then we use the products to recycle it and to do things. You know, the paper that sometimes we don't know what to do. Well, we recycle paper. We also do pots for plants, for example. So this project, little by little, it started to gain momentum, and right now we are assisted by all the staff and non-teachers also. And here we have the achievements of the project. First, it was institutional project because all teachers and non-teachers staff accepted the project, and this was something that was resisted initially. the waste that was dumped at the classroom is reduced. It's not that we have zero waste, but at least they start to separate the waste at different dump sites. So we have like a scoring because the different classrooms have different scores according to the performance they have regarding waste recycling. And the other thing is that the city started to recycle, and we can tell this because of the metrics and the results of the output that we have from the company. The city already acknowledges as a green school, and also because of this project Eco Barter, we have an Instagram page, and they ask us, when are you going to do this exchange again? So these are things that the city is taking into account, and we have people from all ages and teenagers and children also bring things to exchange and to recycle. So, well, we received first the support from the municipality of Chivilcoy. Then we have RSU Environmental. This is the company that is the company in charge of taking all the recycled material from our clean point. And we also have a journalist, and she's the one giving us all the advertisements and gives us a voice at radio stations and so forth. We also have the cooperative of urban recyclers who come and assist us in this eco exchange, and they take all this material to the industrial park at Chivilcoy, and they have a sustainable carpentry where they assemble objects that they deliver to schools. For example, in our case, we have 2,500 kilograms of recycled waste, so they gave us table and a bench for our work that is manufactured with recycled material. So once again, we are doing this eco exchange. So all the schools of Chivilcoy, now we help them do the schedule as to where the schools that we go, and we design the lessons for each class. So all these activities, even though the students prepare part of the material during the classroom hours, we do this as an extra school activity because we go to the events organized by the municipality of Chivilcoy and RSU Ambiental, and sometimes these are activities that take place on the weekends, and my students are always there. So what happens with the part of learning, because many hours of math and language, well, we dedicate them to this project. But what we have realized is that there's an improvement in the communications regarding the information, because they have to explain to other students and to students of different levels, they have to explain them about recycling, and they also handle social media because they have Instagram, Facebook, and so forth. So as teachers, we help them to manage social media, but they need to design the material they post. So they had done some live event, and they also have to organize the promotional videos, because 1 week before the eco exchange we start sending news, and then they also edit the final videos, and they also put together information that they send to other schools. We also improved in the communications and also in reading comprehensions and regarding math, and I am the math teacher. What we do is to take data, for example, the scores that is awarded by the Green Patrol, or the quantity of waste that we recycle. Well, then we apply all this knowledge to solve practical situations, because we have to see, okay, if we talk about waste as of 2022 and up to now, how much waste have we collected? Then we make charts, and then we have to make decisions. Last week we had the last eco-exchange event, and now we are analyzing the results, the outcomes, to see what we can change to improvement. So this is really important for teenagers right now because they will have to face different situations and they will have to encounter different problems and find a solution. So what else did we learn? Well, we learned teamwork. We also have other projects because there's other part of the school that has other projects. We placed some special dump sites for cigarette butts in different parks. We also all the school is working on different projects that have to do with the environment. So what is it that we need to do? Well, we have several pictures with the city mayor and the different events, the eco exchanges. So what is it that we need to do now? We need to expand this green school project because we want to get to zero waste at the classroom, and we want all the community from Chivilcoy to acquire this habit of recycling at home. This is what we are trying to get. It's very difficult, but we're getting there. And yes, well, this is our Instagram. This is ecocanje_, the Facebook of our school, Secundaria 8.1, and our website that you can see here on the screen. And on the website, we have everything that we have done as of 2018 up to last week, where we had the last eco exchange that we did. And what we want also to do is that to have this eco exchange every month, because we only work at school from March to November. This is a school cycle, but then we have to stop it. But we want Chivilcoy to have this eco exchange every month, and this is a very meaningful picture. I just wanted to close with this because we had the families of our students who came to school on a Saturday. We were supported by the families, and this is something that we were able to do this year because all the families are supporting us. Thank you.
Me encantó, Doriana.
I loved it. Well, rather than a green school, I would call it a green city, because I forgot to read, but we had asked them for the answers to some questions, to include that in the presentations, and that was what SDG you were focused on, what was the process to identify this community need related to SDGs, what are the objectives, which she says learning, community impact, how they contributed solutions to that SDG, and finally, what are the next steps. And she described everything in this dream of a green city. So congratulations, because it shows hard work behind. And you see, you can start a process from mathematics that has something to do with something else. So let's be creative, as we said yesterday. Creativity is essential. Good. So now we are moving to the next. And now we are moving to the school in Necochea for them to work directly in this community engagement experience.
Bueno, buenas tardes. Primero vamos a agradecer.
Hello. First, I would like to thank you for the opportunity of being here with my colleague here, Juan. We are delighted. So, let's start with a story, actually, how we started with service learning at the school. In 2005, we introduced service learning, and in 2009, it became part of the institutional project. So we started some years ago already. We presented many projects for the Presidential Award, and in 2015 we won the Presidential Award with a story. We read The Invisible. Elementary and middle school participated with the school 502, that is a special education school in Necochea. And then in 2010,
surge a partir de una necesidad comunitaria.
Based on
Nosotros estamos
community
situados
need,
en la
because we are
escuela.
located.
Está la escuela, un basural
I mean,
y el
the
barrio
school is
terminal,
located
que le llaman.
next to a waste dump
Entonces
and
surgió la
an
necesidad
area, a
de
vulnerable area in
sanear
the
esa
community. So it was
problemática en la comunidad.
necessary to solve
Entonces,
that
junto con
problem
el
in the
barrio,
community. So together with the
lo
community,
transformamos en un espacio común,
we transformed
en una
this into a
plaza.
common space, a park.
A partir de este proyecto,
So with this project,
nuestro proyecto se llamó Conciencia
that was
Verde.
called Green
Ahí es donde todos comenzamos
Awareness.
a trabajar con jornadas
We started
familiares,
to work with
jornadas
family
institucionales,
days,
como para
institutional
comenzar
days,
a transformar
to start and
basural.
transform
Esta
this waste
experiencia fue
dump.
transformadora para
This
nosotros.
was a
Fue
transformational
ahí
experience
donde
for us.
comenzamos
That is when
comenzamos a
we
darle importancia a lo
started to give
ambiental.
importance to the environmental
Bien,
aspects.
y bueno, buenas tardes primero.
Hello.
Eso generó que nos envalentonamos
As a result,
desde la institución de
we
ver que se
became more
podía transformar
enthusiastic at the
el espacio que
institution,
teníamos al
and
lado,
we
que
realized
era
that
un
that space that was
basural
next to
donde
the
hacía
school, there
añares,
was
se
a
venía
waste
tirando un
dump
vertedero
where
muy cerca del centro de la ciudad.
the waste has been thrown
Estábamos
for
a 5 cuadras
years.
de la plaza
It
central.
was just 5
Pero como era
blocks
parte
from
del
the main
ferrocarril
square of the city,
olvidada,
but as this
era
was
el
part
lugar
of the
donde era más
railway
fácil ir a descargar
lands
el
that were
escombro,
abandoned, it was, I mean, an
Entonces,
easy
bueno,
place
los
to
alumnos y los que
throw
llevaron a cabo
away.
en
So
ese
the
momento este
students
proyecto
and that
dejó
participated
las
in the
bases para
project,
tener una huerta,
they laid the foundations
y
for
un espacio dentro de la
a
institución
vegetable garden
que,
and a space at
creadora
the
de plantas
institution
exuberantes donde,
that is
los
now
chicos con el
full of
conocimiento que
beautiful
adquirían
plants,
y el
and the
hecho
students with the
repetitivo de, para poder
knowledge they
incorporarlo,
acquired.
generar plantas,
And with this
pasamos a tener una
habit
huerta
of generating
enorme
plants, now we
donde,
have a
se
huge
devolvió un gran
vegetable garden
generador de
that is
plantines,
a
árboles.
generation
Esto
of
nos
seedlings and
da,
trees,
bueno, le
etc.
da la pauta a los que estaban en ese momento, en 2018,
So in
que tenía
2018,
que
well, those that
un
were
excedente de
participating
planta y que teníamos que
realized
hacer algo con eso. Esas plantas empezamos a
they had
colaborar con
surplus
otras
plants and they had to do
instituciones,
something
con la
about it. So we
biblioteca
started
Rodríguez, para
collaborating
Germán,
with
el Centro
other
Cultural de
institutions like the
Necochea,
Cultural
Biblioteca
Center of
Popular
Necochea,
Andrés
the Popular
Ferreira,
Library, Andrés
el
Ferreira,
Hogar de Adultos Mayores San Andrés,
the
y con el colectivo
residence for elderly
agroecológico
adults,
Ciudad Frutal.
and also an
Esto
agroecological
hace que estas
institute.
instituciones, que la
So
biblioteca,
all
una
these
institución
institutions,
centenaria de referencia
the
en la
library,
ciudad,
for instance, is a
nos
very old
brindara, abrir las
institution
puertas
in
para
the
poder
city.
hacer,
They opened their
esta entrega
doors
de plantines,
for
que
us
era
to
el
deliver
excedente que
this
generábamos dentro de la
seedlings
huerta
that
del colegio.
we had created
Y
at
nace
our
promotores
vegetable garden.
ambientales.
And that led
El
to
proyecto.
the project, Environmental Promoters.
Más para atrás. Ahí está. Creo, no es eso. Bueno, no importa, no importa. Están los 3 niveles.
So the 3 levels of
la escuela
education
cuando
are
termina la
included.
pandemia,
After the pandemic,
los objetivos de la ONU para el desarrollo sustentable.
well, we focused on the UN SDGs and we started working on that.
Bueno, tenemos que la generación de un alimento
Well,
sano,
we
la
worked on the
postura de la
generation of
huerta siempre
healthy
es
food.
agroecológica, donde tenemos
That's
que
the
resolver los
position
problemas
of
con,
our
lo que
vegetable garden. I
tenemos
mean, we
y
try to
situado
solve
en
the
el lugar
problems
y
with what we
generar
have
un impacto
situated
mayor
in
al
the
ambiente.
place without generating any environmental
Y en
impact.
eso activan, tenemos los 3 niveles
And so we have the
trabajando
3
dentro de la
levels
institución, desde
working
jardín,
at the institution
primaria y
from
secundaria.
kindergarten,
En primaria
elementary
no se
school,
llama
and
huerta, se
secondary
llama
school.
forestación,
In primary
porque
school,
está
it's called
abocado a la
foresting because
generación
it's
de,
focused on
árboles
the
que, bueno, ahora
creation
vamos
of
a ir viendo
trees.
en
Now
qué
we're
lo
going to
desarrollamos y
see
dónde
how
lo
we
ponemos.
developed it.
Perdón, está un poco muy sensible.
Vos lo tenés. Claro.
¿Es este?
Bien. Acá las instituciones con las que trabajamos.
These are the institutions
son varias.
we work with.
Desde
They
la
were
escuela 7,
several. School number
de vez en
7,
cuando, año a año, hacemos una
that,
visita
well,
donde
every
nuestros
year we pay
estudiantes
them a
secundarios
visit. Our
demuestran los
high school
conocimientos que
students
van
show them
aprendiendo
the
y se los
knowledge they
tienen que
acquire,
transmitir a los,
and they are
niños
supposed
que
to
estos
share this
chicos
knowledge
eran de
with
quinto grado.
these 5
Ahí
graders.
evaluamos nosotros el
And
desempeño
so
de
that we
nuestros estudiantes
assess
y
the
hacemos una
performance of
actividad
our
donde
students, and we
tienen que
conduct an
dirigirla
activity
ellos,
where, I mean, they have to lead the activity, and then the kindergarten students take a seedling with them. With the Institute 502, we worked with them before the pandemic. For many years, we had been having a weekly lesson This is a school for students with disabilities, and with them we worked in the vegetable garden. There you see in the picture, I don't know if it's very clear, the characteristic is that it was designed for a wheelchair to circulate there. They did it like that. So we applied mathematics here because we used trigonometry, etc. This was for the 5th graders. It was a big challenge for them at the time. Perhaps they obtained very good scores in their math tests, but this practical activity was very hard for them. And then we also work with school number 3, that's a technical school, where they produce the tools that we are going to use during the workshop. The interesting thing about this crossover between metal mechanics and the vegetable garden is that at the school we have a community where lots of parents perhaps have some fields and they have some extra agricultural tools, so they donate them for the metal mechanics workshop to build their own tools that will then be used by us at the school. The interesting thing about this joint activity is that once a year they come to work at our garden, and that is where we truly confirm whether the tools work or not, or whether they need some modification. And our students, as they have been conducting that activity, they tell them, well, you have to polish this a little better, or this is not blunt enough, or it's too large, because our students sometimes are very short, they're very young. So at the end of the year, they display all the things they did during the year. And then the tools are provided for the new students that are going to participate in the project.
Los abuelos, creo, ¿no?
No, es de la plaza. Están un poco desacomodados. Ay, a ver si voy para abajo.
Bueno, una parte, mientras encontramos...
As we find the slide, perhaps we can share this one.
Ahí está. Bueno.
Esa la pasamos, me parece.
We've shared this already, but this is the evolution of the park. I wanted to share that with you. I'm not a technology fan. This is the evolution. This is 2010. That used to be that waste dump we told you before. It was between the school and the community. And the evolution, all the tree design, the traffic signs, football field for the students to play there. So this days were organized with the families, with the communities. That was a way of establishing relationships. And in the workshops we offer at the school, both the one for forestation and the one for the vegetable garden, we worked on the different tree species, and we did it jointly with the municipal tree nursery. They donated trees for the initial part that was hardest. And then after a few years, our trees were bigger and we were able to plant them there in the park. So we were able to maintain it throughout the years. Of course, we had some difficulties, but it's a way of getting to know the territory and learning this way of working so that we can all establish connections among one another. In the picture, you can clearly see the change that was achieved, and we keep working there. The trees are now, most of them are quite large, and we continue the evolution. The students in the forestation courses produce the trees, but these are 8- and 9-year-old students. When we produce the trees, when then we plant them, we have to
wait for 3 or 4 months, perhaps. He skipped it for them to be strong enough to be planted at the park. So what do we do? So they produce the trees. We produce around 300, 400 trees that are already at a stage where they're ready to be transplanted. We are called from other institutions. For instance, the Almafuerte school is a semi-rural school that is in the middle of nowhere. I mean, Necochea is a windy city, but it's not true. I don't know why we are called like that, but when it's windy, the school was absolutely unprotected. It was in the middle of nowhere, so they couldn't do any activity outside the school because the primary school teachers were, it was not convenient for them. So they invited us to do this forestation around the school. So we took some species that we planted with older students because, well, perhaps the physical work was not suitable for the youngest. And then at the 802 Institute, they have this place for sports. It's located in a corner, so there's no shadow, there are no trees. So when they did some physical activity there in the summer, it was not very nice for the children. So they invited us to do this joint forestation. These activities in School 802, that is a few blocks from our school, we did several works together. We did the final planting in that corner that we wanted to forest. And Namuncura is an ecological project at a seaside spot that is 25 kilometers from Necochea. They have an ecological project there, Namuncura, where since last year we've been holding the final day of the high school workshop. They offer this space for us to do our field work. So all the knowledge they obtained during the workshop, they implemented here in a different context. In this day where the 60 students of the 2 courses are there, plus the staff from Namuncura and some volunteers. And teachers of natural and social sciences, they're also evaluating there, and they see whether their objectives are being met. We have just 2 more minutes. So what happens here? This is a celebration. We never realize we're being evaluated. The children do not feel the pressure. They don't feel they have to sit for an exam. So they just display all their knowledge. And we managed to create this 30-meter wind curtain. It has always been a celebration. This project is also related with all the others. It's called Learning Together. It started in 2018 at kindergarten. Some elderly adults attended some classes at kindergarten. They spent some time with the children. It was a very special moment, both for the elderly and for the children. This was interrupted during the pandemic, of course. So in 2021, we managed to resume this together with the garden project, the workshop. This is in the spring, these pictures. Then they go back in March again, where we can work together with the elderly to do some garden activities. They also produce some seedlings. We visit them once a week with a small group of students in winter when it's very cold. So in that way we manage to produce more seedlings. And this allows us to do this year-end seedling release. We do one at the Popular Library, at the Cultural Center,
to share this with the community. The students establish these connections with the population, and they are together with the elderly. We organize this with productions from the garden, seedlings. So this allows us to create this connection with the population. And we also organize another event within the school. We release the seedlings, and then in the next year we can renovate them. During the pandemic, well, it was more difficult, so we had to do the remote lessons. The children could see what we were doing. We showed them how to prepare the seedlings, and once they acquired those skills, we did the avatars at the vegetable garden in a lady of the neighborhood. We broadcast live over YouTube. The children were supposed to tell us what to do, where to plant it, and then that neighbor had tomatoes all year long. She had a fruit tree. She was very happy. Okay, in the river we also did some things. We worked with the municipal tree nursery. We received an award and we're very happy.
Para el futuro,
For the future, what really inspires us is to see older adults renewing the energy every time we go, every time they come. We design this green garden with them so that, well, environmental promoters is 4th grade. It's an initial level of education, primary school, but when we are at the park working with them, well, this is the future, the hope that we renew every day. Thank you. Juanca was looking at me because I know that the best beaches and the best forests in the world are in Necochea. Now we continue with Daniela, but the last topic that Juan described also relates with what Daniela will tell us about. Hello, good afternoon. My name is Daniela Ascencio. I come from Puerto Montt, Chile. I'm from the 10th region of the lakes, and today we're going to talk about a project that is called At the Reach of Your Hands. And I imagine that we all have dreams to fulfill, and I believe that we will leave today with a lot of experiences after these wonderful gathering of people. And today I would like to tell you a bit about the model so that you can also fulfill some dreams and you can realize that everything can be easier in life when we work together as a network. So this is related with SDG number 11 that has to do with sustainable communities and cities, but also with health and well-being. I'm also a nurse, and it's great to meet so many people from a social area, because I would have never thought that, you know, this profession is more associated to the clinical aspect, but now I'm in touch with wonderful people. So thank you for everything that you have talked to me. So this is where we have Puerto Montt in the map. So if you do not know, is near Bariloche in Argentina. It's around that latitude. And this project was created specifically during the pandemic. You know, in the pandemic, well, we were all full of sadness, but it also brought lots of opportunities. This is why we could connect well online, and we could be more creative to co-create based on this moment of confinement. And we were thinking, what is it that we could do to support the society? So we have a concept associated with older people that they have a higher risk of death and mortality, specifically in times of pandemic. But this is also related to a greater ageism that we have, because sometimes we tend to see older people as children. We say the little old man, little old woman, right? We add little to everything. And I believe that colleagues here can tell that older people have a lot of knowledge and they are wise, and sometimes they have more energy and are more powerful than young people. And back then in the pandemic, we were also isolated, and there's also a perception of vulnerability. But regarding what we we had a suspension of the clinical spaces, and therefore this gave us opportunity, because this has to do with therapeutic horticulture. So here I'm representing all the community of Puerto Montt, and that is working on this project. So within the picture you can see that in the pandemic we started with 5 families and the students, because we were able to do some curricular activities, and based on the positive aspects that we could rescue, we could see how a social cohesion improves, there's emotional well-being, there's a reduction of isolation, there's also an embellishment of the environment. We have cooperation and teamwork, continuous learning, and also a care for the environment. Now, I'm going to ask you today, who of you have got plants at home? Okay, many. So, who, whenever you plant a plant and the plants grow, what do you feel? A joy and happiness, right? Because this is what plants bring to us. And I think that all of us here, we want joy and help. And this is good for the health, because it's related to health. And in order to do this, I will tell you, but I don't want to be the only one. Do we have audio here? So it's not that I don't want to do all the talking, but I want you to listen to 3 wonderful people who will tell you what they feel after having participated on this. My name is Rosa Cape. And I have been here at Casa Felix before the pandemic, working with a group, and I do horticulture, that is, I work with plants, and now I have new friends. My name is Jose Ramirez, and I'm 71. I started to work at this group, Casa Felix, and I started 3 years ago. And for me, this space, how can I put it? It's like my second home, because we really feel close. And I have learned a bit about horticulture, and also I was able to be friendlier, and this place was for me like a source of wisdom, and also a source or a place where I can relax. I hope that other people can participate, and I hope they can as much as possible, because this is like therapy. My name is Bertoldo Nix Gottman. I don't remember exactly when I started to be a part of this wonderful project, but it was over a year ago. And I dare say that this is one of the smartest ideas that organizers have had, because it's a wonderful project, because it has given us space for those who are no longer active. I'm 81, so I've been working for 60 years in the transport area, and I never thought that I could have this opportunity of participating and participating in this project with extraordinary people. So this is the opinion that is not only of these participants, but this is the opinion of most of the older people, because that this is the feeling they have every time you share the work with them. So this is not just the emotional part, but there's a lot of work behind it. And I will show you the management model that we use. The management model has to do with community participation or engagement. We have talked about all this, how important it is to be involved with the social actors in order to be able to create or co-create. Also the intersector, because sometimes money is not necessarily tangible, but it could be valued in different contributions, as the colleagues mentioned, like seeds or different inputs that companies or people could donate. Also social innovation. In Chile we have social innovation projects where we were able to be a part of it and to award them, and also the service learning, because this is something that also gives us an opportunity to relate with the students of the University of Santo Tomás. So when we talk about community engagement, we start with in-home visits, focus groups, diagnosis, we apply surveys, we carry out interviews, we do testing, and it's important to test the products when we do a pilot project in order to have a greater impact. Co-creation process and also observation in the field. Regarding the intersector, the most important collaborative alliances are the Department of Health, Environment, and we also have an agroecological program, universities and schools, and centers for family health, because this is work that is supported by sustainability networks. Regarding social innovation, we have different projects that were awarded by Social Lab. It's an international center that supports us. We also have the health service, the municipal health service with projects associated. And also regarding the learning objectives, well, we have developed this project with different stakeholders, and I will tell you a bit about the student based on different theories and chairs that we have associated with these service learning projects. They organize different service learning projects. So we have students from second or third year of nurseries and fourth years, and also internships. And we have over 70 students who have gone through this experience, but as of 2019, we will have over 300. Now, regarding the contributions and the territory impact, we started off with 5 families in 2021, and now we're in 2024 with a scalability model that is quite important. We are working with a concept of community, students, and networks. We have 17 active families, and we are part of a community health school as a central pillar, as a workshop. We have awarded 4 important funds that allow us to sustain this project in time. Over 6 networks are associated, and we can say that we have other derivatives and other products that are a consequence of this. Now, what are these? We have, from an educational point of view, we provide advisories to different spaces. We have in-person workshops. We have workshops in basic agroecology. And the important thing is that the users are the ones imparting the workshops. So we have a fund in which we can hire one of the users to become an instructor. We also want to reduce we have a refrigerator that turned into a bookshelf. So this is what we call, we are also recycling different things and transforming them into huge plant pots, and also associated recycling. We have herb drying and medicine garden that is open to territory, and we have herbs for mate that are the specific herbs that are taken or used when drinking mate. We also have a community greenhouse. We also have sensorial experiences with schools when we have kids and we receive them with a necklace with mint, and then they go and they experience a different kind of herbs. We also have these educational greenhouses because we have a huge greenhouse. It's a matrix and it's really like a pharmacy. But we cannot deliver different medications. So, but we go with pumpkins or with different things. But we also have a greenhouse specific for special plants, and we have a management of organic waste with community compost places. We have over 3,000 kilograms, and we deliver this to the Puerto Montt municipality, and this goes to a greenhouse, and they generate the compost, and then they deliver all the byproducts. And this is to finish, and this wonderful space is not only for us human beings, but with all these wonderful flowers that we have a lot of visitors and friends, and among these, this little wonderful bee, beautiful bee, and we were able to record them. So let's not make the bee go away. But obviously we have birds and other animals. So we no longer are called Casa Felix, but the happy house. People call us the house of the flowers or the pretty corner. So thank you for your attention. Here you have my contact information, Instagram, and if you want to do a project, please don't hesitate to contact me. I can assist you, and if you can do something, we can do something at an international level because we have funds, and we can do something collectively as well. Thank you.
Me encantó. Gracias, Daniela. Y queriendo terminar
I loved it. Thank you, Daniela. It's so nice to finish with this bee and the flower. That's the planet we want to sustain. All of us together with the bee as well. Now we're going to pass the floor to Pablo. He's going to tell us about an experience on social practices at the School of Agricultural Engineering at the University of Buenos Aires.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the invitation. Adriana Rodríguez was going to come instead of me. She's the dean of school. But today, she was having a meeting with the graduates, so she couldn't make it on time. So what I'd like to tell you about is the methodological development that we've had at the School of Agronomics at the University of Buenos Aires these years related to social educational practices and on the work and the collaboration with the territories. I'm not going to focus on an SDG in particular, but I'm going to mention a couple. And if I have time, I will share some specific examples of projects we are carrying out. The School of Agronomics offers several courses like agronomics, environmental sciences, economics, agri-food administration, landscaping.
So and also some technical degrees and diplomas. So at our school, what we try to do is generate collaborations with different disciplines that we offer. Some common points among those courses is that in general we work with in natural environments, urban, semi-urban environments, where there are relationships with the plant, with animals, with forests, but particularly with people, producers associations, farmers. And we started designing a few years ago methodologies for the intervention. So we are trying to not to be a school that is purely academic, related to production, etc., but to try to be more connected with the communities that live in the various territories. The educational social practices started in 2010 at our school, with a proposal that came down from the university. Our school implemented it in their curricula. They are mandatory. I mean, we are readjusting at the university so that all undergraduate students at the university have to go through some course related to social educational practices. Well, that has been postponed a little, but many schools are adopting these initiatives. There you have a sort of a definition. There are spaces of learning and teaching that allow for the articulation of curricular contents with the needs and demands of the communities, the different sectors of society. And at our School of Agronomics, when we internally defined who our social practices would be targeting, we decided on vulnerable social sectors. That was a sector we wanted to work with, and also the production of public benefit. That is not only to concentrate in a community in particular, but common benefits. That has to do with the mission of the course on environmental sciences that has a more territorial approach and more scalable. So the university had, since the beginning of the century, had been going through some strong processes of transformation. I mean, it has been experiencing those processes oriented towards integrating our three essential roles as a university. It's clear for all of us that universities teach subjects, courses, that they do research, they are important sources of knowledge, but we also play the role of generating outreach processes. So these transformations and these methodologies that we wanted to promote in the past few years at the University of Buenos Aires, at our school, and in many other universities in the country, is to find strategies to integrate the three roles of the university. That is, to do teaching, to do a situated teaching, that is, for the students to have the possibility of having experiences that are situated in the territory and the communities they're going to work with, and that's the focus of our main challenge. Many colleagues from other schools and other universities as well, we understand that this is quite a new approach that started in the past 20 or 30 years. In some schools started before. So when we start looking at the relationships that can be established between research and teaching, they are clear. What is research is then taught at the classrooms, and then between teaching and outreach, the connections with those communities, that is where social educational practices come into play. That is, these are learning spaces where the situated learning becomes an essential tool. And from there, we start to build these formation or education of new graduates that we want them to solve complex situations because of the level of interrelationships they have. I'm going to be very fast here. I'm not going to give you all the details, but this is the territorial deployment we have at the university. We have projects from the north, Jujuy, Misiones, Santiago del Estero, San Luis, the center of the country, the south of the province of Buenos Aires, and lots of projects within the province of Buenos Aires itself. Each of those projects, of course, has some specific focus. That is one of the SDGs. For instance, here in Santiago del Estero, we work on access to water and the restoration of degraded environments. We work a lot with local indigenous communities that have environmental problems of access to some resources. So these are all projects connected to that SDG. I think it's number 12. One of the big issues we have currently has to do with the loss of biodiversity. I'm sure you've been discussing this, but we are losing species, genetic variability, genetic resources. We are losing food because of the way we consume. So in Jujuy, in the north, there's a project for recovering Andean corn at the Humahuaca Valley. It's a very high semi-arid region where we are interacting with the Inca. I mean, this was the southern tip of the Inca Empire. And in each of those regions, we have different proposals for students to particularly train in environments interacting with communities that have specific issues. One of the challenges of those students that we promote a lot is that they should do their undergraduate final paper related to that community, to that issue, not only interacting with the communities, not only generating outputs, technical outputs, but they are also educated under that logic. So we want their future interventions as professionals to be incorporating all these approaches. Well, I'm not going to give you all the details here about educational social practices. We have a specific strategy. It's a curricular design that allows any practice of students that are situated in the territory with objectives, methodologies, results, and a community or a clear specific population becomes a social educational practice. We hope to work this out for next year, but this is more an administrative internal issue at our school. And here I'm going to tell you, I don't know how I'm doing with the time. I have 5 more minutes. This is one of the projects, one of the oldest actually we have at our school, that has to do with access to water in 2 regions. One is some communities in the greater Buenos Aires area, in Esteban Echeverría, and the other in the delta of the Paraná River. Very contrasting situations, but with similar issues. Communities in areas that do not have access to water because the drilling water that they could have access to has been polluted in the past 40, 50 years, the groundwater. So there are students, particularly in environmental sciences, that work with a methodology that is very specific. That methodology has to do with the identification of the issue, in this case, access to water at the delta of the Paraná River or in this vulnerable community. They have big problems having access to drinking water. Those that live in the delta are surrounded by water, but they have a big issue having access to drinking water. So the students that participate in these processes are directly connected and methodologically and in their works with the communities. They do samplings, that is, they go to the houses, they take samples of the waters, they talk to the families, talk to them about their problems, about their access, the quality of the water they have. Those samples are standardized, they are analyzed by the chemistry chair. That is, each of those samples taken by the students are taken to the lab, they are analyzed, they generate the reports. They estimate the fitness of the sample of the water, and they disseminate the results. Actually, the dissemination of the results is the water has a drinking quality or not. But also, a thing that we do in most of the projects is to reach decision makers, those that make decisions on public policies, to try and accompany, influence, and generate data so they improve the living conditions in those communities. In the case of water, for instance, in this community in Esteban Echeverría, they install some community taps, or they can improve the network, or they can be auditing or acting as experts in some complaints that are made, etc. So this is what the students do in the case of this issue. Of course, learning chemistry, as our colleagues were sharing here, by taking the water sample, analyzing it, getting to know the person that is using that water, that is transformational. It's a personal experience, and also it's that's very rich data that is contributed to the community. And very quickly, the other example is, well, our professions are generally professions where graduates settle in territories. So one of the proposals that we've been developing has to do with the fact that this experience of the situated connection should be lasting in time. This has been going on for a long time, but it's now being institutionalized. It has to do with the trainees and living in the territory. So twice a year, in the summer and in the winter, groups of 20, 30 students from agronomics, but also from other schools, philosophy, etc., and exact sciences, they have experiences in the territories, in this case with an organization. And those experiences are, well, they spend like 10 days in the communities, they work there, they learn, they share the activities, the social or productive activities, they generate, I don't know, sometimes specific campaigns. In this case, this was done in Tucumán. There were farmers there, or cheese producers, other fruit producers. So they generate that experience. And they generate spaces for debate with communities. A debate with an organized community that has clear issues is very rich for students. And also, of course, the fact of thinking and having to explain to the communities what their problems are also helps them reflect. So this exchange is very rich. And in general, once they finish these experiences, the university receives these requests, and so the university starts building more experiences to meet those needs. Most of the projects we have throughout the country come from those requests made by the communities. And then the role of the students is essential here. All the initiatives that I shared came out of concerns from the students that are willing to do things and to transform reality. Thank you.
Bueno, gracias, Pablo.
Thank you, Paolo, because you reminded me of my years as a student at university. I'm really happy to be here today sharing these experiences in such an important thing that is the care of our common house that includes us all with all the different perspectives. Don't relax because you have an exam later on. Now we have 4 experiences that will be told in only 5 minutes each in a brief time, and we made 3 questions. So you have on the QR that you have in the backs, you have access to all these experiences that appear as posters or brief work. So I will go there. You can stay here.
Voy a acercar acá y voy a invitar.
I will invite Professor Gillian Isa to come here. We were working with Gillian and with Rosita in Kenya at the meeting of a learning service for Africa. So we are acquaintances, we know, and we go way back. So, Minja, if you can tell us, please, what this project is about regarding the SDGs that has to do with saving the snow from the Kilimanjaro mountain, but it's not only one of the highest, but one of the tallest volcanoes in the planet.
Right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity to present my poster on Save the Snows of Mount Kilimanjaro. Globally, as we know, there's a growing concern on climate change, and this is due to increased vulnerability and impact, particularly in poor developing nations and small islands. And this is particularly in case for Africa, whereby climate change is real and it's happening. And Mount Kilimanjaro, which is the tallest freestanding mountain in the world, which is in Tanzania, has been named as one of the global reference points for climate change. Okay, thank you.
Bueno, muy buenas tardes, gracias por la oportunidad. Voy a explicar este proyecto que es salvar las nieves del monte Kilimanjaro. Sabemos que a nivel global hay cada vez más interés en el cambio climático debido a la creciente vulnerabilidad y los impactos especialmente en naciones pobres en vías de desarrollo y pequeños estados insulares. Y esto, bueno, en África es muy notorio.
Yeah, so Kilimanjaro has lost its glaciers for almost 95% since 2012 and until 2000 years, and it has one of the global reference points for climate change. And the impact of climate change is evident to communities who are living adjacent to the mountain, and it's affecting their livelihood and biodiversity.
Bueno, en nuestro caso el monte Kilimanjaro, que es una de las montañas más altas, en el periodo 2012-2020 perdió el 95% de su nieve y se lo toma como uno de los puntos de referencia para medir el cambio climático. Este impacto es evidente en la comunidad que vive en los alrededores del monte, en sus medios de subsistencia y también en la biodiversidad.
Yeah, so together with my student at Mwenge Catholic University from the Geography Department, we established Sustainable Development Club, trying to address 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And one of the goals that we are championing is goal number 13 on climate action.
En nuestra universidad, que es la Universidad Católica de Mwenge, nosotros trabajamos con los estudiantes, específicamente nosotros en el Departamento de Geografía, creamos este club de los ODS, nos concentramos en el trabajo de los 17 ODS, pero específicamente en el 13, que es sobre acción por el clima.
So the main purpose of the club is to actually gather students with similar passion in SDGs, but also to create, educate and spread awareness and advocate issues of sustainability initiatives.
El principal objetivo entonces de este club es reunir a aquellos estudiantes que comparten esta pasión por los ODS para crear, educar, concientizar y también trabajar por las iniciativas de sostenibilidad.
And this is done through collaboration with the communities adjacent the mountain, which are being affected, in planting trees in the communities and in schools.
Y esto lo hacemos a través de colaboraciones con las comunidades que viven adyacentes a la zona, en la zona de la universidad, y lo hacemos plantando árboles en las laderas del monte.
So through this experience, our student has learned a lot of issues regarding causes, vulnerability and the impact of climate change, but also they've acquired skills and knowledge in terms of leadership, communication, problem solving, and even collaboration.
Así que a través de este proyecto los alumnos pueden aprender las causas, las vulnerabilidades, la adaptación al cambio climático y también adquieren habilidades de comunicación, liderazgo, resolución de problemas y colaboración.
Additionally, they were also able to learn the role of tree planting in carbon sequestration, but also in promoting soil nutrient and biodiversity conservation.
Y también pudieron aprender el rol de los árboles en el secuestro de carbono, la promoción de los nutrientes del suelo y la conservación de la biodiversidad.
So today my students are able to do grafting, get improved variety of fruit trees and distribute to the communities.
Así que hoy los estudiantes tienen esta capacidad de plantear, cultivar estos árboles frutales, por ejemplo, y después los distribuyen a la comunidad.
So, and this is done through a living lab approach, whereby it's a platform for discussing and agreeing on the best ways to mitigate the climate change, together with the communities.
Y esto se hace a través de lo que llamamos el Living Lab, como el laboratorio vivo, que es una plataforma donde los estudiantes pueden hablar sobre las mejores maneras de mitigar el cambio climático y ayudar a la comunidad.
So the communities are now aware of the climate change and they have capacity building already and programs to foster issues of tree planting and the vulnerabilities of climate change, bring what we call co-creation for sustainable nature-based solution, currently focusing on the issues of planting trees, but also the issue of sustainable stoves or sustainable fuel wood stoves.
Entonces hoy las comunidades son mucho más conscientes de todas estas necesidades, de la plantación de árboles, la creación de soluciones, el desarrollo de capacidades y las soluciones basadas en la comunidad, soluciones también basadas en la naturaleza que sean sostenibles y que se puedan co-crear.
So I would like to finish by saying that this experience or this seven selling activity has brought about enhanced collaboration between collaborative research between community, culture of innovation among students, bring about social responsibility and collective action among faculty and students at Mwenge Catholic University, trying to address the issue of climate change by making sure that we save the snows of Mount Kilimanjaro.
Entonces, a través de esta experiencia pudimos mejorar todo lo que es la investigación colaborativa con la comunidad, la cultura de innovación con los estudiantes, la responsabilidad social, la acción colectiva entre docentes y estudiantes en la Universidad Católica, tratando de abordar este problema del cambio climático, salvando las nieves del Monte Kilimanjaro.
Thank you very much. I hope my 5 minutes is done.
Gracias, espero haber aprovechado los 5 minutos.
Muchas gracias por presentarnos tan bien este proyecto ambicioso.
Thank you for presenting us this very ambitious project, and there's a lot to keep doing. Thank you. And now we invite Francine. Francine will tell us. Francine will tell us about another project, and I thought she was coming from Estonia, but not, she's from Brazil. but the project word from Estonia, but she will be speaking English because she does not speak a bit of Portuguese and Spanish, so she will be speaking English.
Hello everyone. So I'll talk a little bit about EcoManca. EcoManca is a global network of experts in social innovation, gamified learning, immersive technology, and human-centered design who are developing a methodology. Are you reading? Can you read? Oh, yeah, of course. Yes. Yeah, it's a little bit confusing. I don't know if you're gonna. It's a bit chaotic, my writing, so I'm not sure if you're gonna get it. Do you wanna translate now? No. Yeah. Okay, so the methodology is a 15-week immersive and playful journey empowering 13th to 18th youth from vulnerable communities with essential skills in sustainability, social emotional learning, AR, technology, storytelling, and social entrepreneurship.
Ok, entonces, nuestro programa EcoManca, que es una ONG que empodera a los jóvenes en situaciones vulnerables, desarrollamos una metodología, que es una trayectoria inmersiva y lúdica de 15 semanas que empodera a los jóvenes de comunidades vulnerables con habilidades esenciales en lo que es sostenibilidad, aprendizaje socioemocional, AR es... realidad aumentada, realidad aumentada, la narración de historias y el emprendimiento social.
So they embark on an immersive journey where they connect deeply with their environment and community, responding to local problems with concrete solutions, income-generating community projects, so then they become eco-leaders and youth entrepreneurs.
Entonces embarcan en esta trayectoria inmersiva donde se conectan profundamente con su entorno y con su comunidad y responden a los problemas locales con soluciones concretas, es decir, proyectos comunitarios que generan ingresos. Se vuelven entonces en eco-líderes y jóvenes emprendedores.
So, for example, in Moravia, Colombia, the program will focus on providing better access to nature and green spaces by guiding young people in creating ecotourism initiatives using AR. In addition to benefiting the entire community, it also aims to create economic opportunities while also addressing issues like youth employment, community safety, and overall well-being.
Por ejemplo, en Moravia, en Colombia, el programa se va a concentrar en brindar mejor acceso a la naturaleza y a los espacios verdes, guiando a los jóvenes en la creación de iniciativas de ecoturismo, utilizando realidad aumentada. Además de beneficiar a toda la comunidad, también apunta a crear oportunidades económicas y aborda problemas como, por ejemplo, el desempleo juvenil, la seguridad comunitaria y crea bienestar en general.
So our process is that we work in collaboration with local community. So we partner with a local NGO, government, or university where we map the local context, and then we define the program focus aligned to one SDG. We choose a location, we train the trainers, and then we follow the implementation of the program.
Entonces, en colaboración con las comunidades locales, trabajamos con ONGs, por ejemplo, gobiernos, universidades, definimos el contexto, seleccionamos el ODS en el que nos vamos a concentrar y en base a eso seleccionamos la ubicación, entrenamos a los instructores y en base a eso empezamos a trabajar.
So we are currently establishing the network and refining the methodology that is co-created in the network. We already have an extensive network of partners and recipients, which are local leaders, NGO interested in adopting the program and who are already identified the community, the local problem, and the program focus. Our first pilot will run in Moravia, Colombia later this year.
Entonces, establecemos esa red, definimos la metodología y ya tenemos una red muy grande de socios y de beneficiarios que son líderes locales y ONGs interesadas en adoptar el programa. Y también identificamos entonces a la comunidad, al problema local y el foco del programa. Nuestro primer piloto se va a hacer en Moravia, en Colombia, a fines de este año.
Eso es EcoManca. Muchas gracias.
Concreta. Gracias por el tiempo. Bueno, muchas gracias.
Thank you. So now we are changing topics, but now we will go back to health, and we invite Macarena Cuadros, who's around here. Macarena is going to tell us from Santo Tomás an experience regarding nursery, but in this case with children. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Now, today we would like to show you, together with Carolina, she's also a nurse, a colleague of mine, a work that is a social innovation in action, service and learning for relevant environments for nursing. So this is aimed at a group from 45 primary schools that belong to kindergartens. In the it's a desertic area, but we have two valleys, and one of these valleys is the valley of Azaba. This is an agricultural area, multicultural one, but with a high social vulnerability. We have Chilean, Peruvian families and Chilean and Bolivian families. Therefore, the children who belong to these families speak three languages: Spanish, Aymara, and Quechua. So we addressed issues. One that is a delay in language development that is generated by the social isolation that the pandemic brought. So these children received quite an impact due to this isolation that they have to go through, and in families. Another important thing was the inequalities that girls face in rural areas of our region, also the impact on climate change in areas with a great water scarcity, as is this area in our region. We had 4-year students of nurse studies and 2 teachers who are also a nurse and a language professor. Why language professor? Because we needed some support to create a very brief story, a micro tale. So this was created among the language teachers and also with the students from kindergarten. So what were the 2 main activities that we proposed? One was Eco Game 3D as water protectors. So we created a set to stimulate language and the social area. We included 3D lenses, as we can see in the picture. These are cardboard 3D lenses. They were bought, but we needed them to be from a recycling material and also very low cost. Within this, we work with an app that is free of charge, and this is so that children could explore an online or a virtual scenario where aliens were asking for help in order to save the planet due to water scarcity. So we also worked on dynamic posters on water care, and these were done in Spanish, but they were also translated into Aymara in order to preserve a cultural identity. And lastly, this micro story that encourages them to provide solutions to protect water. So at the end of these micro stories, there was some posters so that kids could just tell us the solutions they had to protect the planet, and they would also make the drawings. Because obviously, well, these were children who did not know how to read and write yet, because they had to draw. So then we had a skills ability to strengthen self-esteem, especially of girls, through positive thinking, fostering creativity, and with a proposal to achieve favorable mental health and well-being. So we have different games, also recycling and music therapy. An important point is that both activities were winners of the 5th contest of social innovation of 2023 in Santo Tomás. What were the lessons learned for our students? Well, first, they were able to design, but also to plan and to exemplify health promotion projects in a participative way with these service learning methods within nursing, within a community model. Also, to have an agreement with our model of comprehensive care that we offer in family healthcare centers. Also, we could able to develop critical thinking through reflection in our students. What are the impacts on the community? Well, they were very significant because at Nurses we concentrated on developing children in a rural community where we decided to work on impact and also satisfaction. In this initiative, we had 100% of the community and the students, 100% of impact. So therefore, we're fully satisfied with our work and also with how we plan to continue working in other establishments that where we were requested our services. So this is our initiative. Thank you very much.
Bueno, además está decirle que ahora vamos a hacer un trabajo. Bueno,
we have one more presentator. We have Agri from Mexico. Adri, and she will talk about the migrant reality of Tapachula. But after this, we will all work because the idea is to take home some reflection. So we will be working all together, speakers and attendees, so you will be able to make questions. Good afternoon. Well, I represent my workmates who went to this place in the south of Mexico, Tapachula, that borders Guatemala, and this is a border frontier for migrations. And I will describe the context. I will talk about personal experience because being there, well, someone from a family was kidnapped for a time and they asked for ransom in order to continue the transit, and some others were put to work at some places that were not adequate. So this is a very difficult migrant situation. I was not part of this project, but I just wanted to share this personal experience of someone really close to me. So what happens here? There's high rate of immigration in this area, and therefore this alters all the demographic process of the area. So the University of Monterrey, who is to the north in Mexico, to support with a diagnostic study to know the reality. So we have 14 teachers, 19 students, and they did interviews with 12 organizations, both national and international ones, and we analyzed 23 interviews. So we started all research process, contacting different people, and other than these, social actors, we came up with a diagnosis, and what this was aiming for is to talk about the attitudes, the practices, and the behaviors, not only from migrants, but from the institutions involved in this process. Because one of the regulations or laws regarding migration is that everyone who was going in the area had to stay in the area. So what are the achievements or impacts to the communities? Well, we offered a diagnosis describing the characteristics of the situation, and I believe it's a very important contribution because this diagnosis, it turns into a useful and necessary tool to be able to understand that reality and to look for the actions that each institution or organizations had to do or so as to offer a healthier instance for the migrants in this area of transit that is quite difficult. And imagine for students, we're talking about students that study international relations and international law. Well, they got to know about law and about rights and about migrations, because our teachers set this up as a research. So students were able to acquire not only, well, the content that was related with the topic and the research, but also they were in touch with this methodology of doing this research, together with the impact of living in the community, because this was done in person. So let me tell you, well, we had students, but we also had the Center for Solidarity and Philanthropics, that is a center within the university in charge of coordinating all these activities of these projects. So all these outcomes were delivered to the community and the institutions, and the students just got incredible lessons, and of course they had this spirit of keep on learning and providing service. So I believe that service learning is a very important tool for life. So that was our proposal. Thank you very much, Adri, because, well, this was a different reality, but that it has to do with everything that we were describing. So it's not a classroom for group work. In case you cannot connect or get the QR code, when you are able to scan the code, there's a series of questions and you will have to vote. So what is the main obstacle that we come across in order to link these sustainable development goals with our project of service learning? So there are several. So after you answer to this, personally, the idea is to get together as a group at 4 or 5 people in a group, so as to work on these conclusions, but as a group, and so that you can share as a group what are the strategies that we can implement in order to overcome the most voted obstacles. So based on the vote, they're going to be the 2 most important ones, and then we have to come to an agreement with a keyword.
We said maybe we can identify the problem and link it to the goal.
¿Ustedes qué hicieron primero para poder aprender a separar?
Y nos informamos.
Y primero
cómo se separaba y después vamos a hacer
bien. Por ahí no saben cómo se trabaja, cuál es el andamiaje que uno hace como institución para llegar a esos conocimientos.
Y fue, vio la máquina de la Champions.
Había que analizar los pasos intermedios de adaptar para creer y de formación de la gente.
Bueno, vamos terminando el momento de votación. ¿Todos votaron?
So, have you all voted?
¿Estamos listos?
Are we ready?
Muy bien.
Okay.
Vamos para atrás entonces.
So let's start from the backwards. Oh no, let's go backwards. We go to the previous screen.
¿Por qué esta actividad?
So why did we decide to do this activity? Because we wanted to create this space of debate. We had lots of panel members and posters, so it's really nice. It's good to have a lot of institutions and schools presenting their projects, so we had lots of experiences to share. But we thought that it was also important for you to have a space for debate, and something that happens at this event is that it's very enriching to hear what other institutions do, but it's also very enriching to discuss with teachers who are going through challenges similar to ours, and sometimes they are working in very different projects, but however we can share similar tools. So we wanted to add this instance, and we used technology because we wanted to make it more dynamic and make a better use of time. And now we have to do a last conclusion, and as a comment, as Alejandra said, well, the options that are here stem from our own discussions, like what happened with the SDGs and the Sustainable Development Goals, because the item about the community, because, well, there was kind of like tricky, because the community does not necessarily need to know what SDGs are, but this is something that we think. But I think that something that happens with SDGs, generally speaking, is that as a tool, we do not have a clear idea what they are for and how can we use them. And there's something as a community that globally we don't know what they are. So this is the first obstacle that comes to mind. So along these lines, we think that based on the conversations that we had, we wanted to think, okay, what is the framework of SDGs? Well, SDGs were thought so as to help us work as institution and to give equalizing categories, because SDGs are quite varied and quite extensive, but at the same time they are like a guide of priorities that collectively we decided to address. These are the 17 more urgent problems. So I think that in that sense there's a role that we need to play as institutions, because we need to be a bridge between SDGs and the communities. And I think that what stems from this word cloud is that we recognize this, is that as a school, as universities, we are the ones who need to create awareness about these issues. So we need to work with the community, because maybe not with the term SDGs, or not just but talking about the problems of SDGs, because they are key through the 2030 agenda, we decided that SDGs are like our priority issues. I would like to say for the next decade, but I don't know. So I think that it's interesting that this has been the conclusion, and to recognize ourselves as a bridge. I think that this is the challenge, because this is part of the strategy as schools, as service learning platforms, that schools need to be a bridge to opportunities that are outside. So I don't know if anyone would like to come up and share any thought, idea, reflection. If you want to come up and use the mic.
Ahí, Dani.
Ya, bueno, nosotros trabajamos con
México we worked with Mexico and Chile
acerca del análisis
y
consideramos que, bueno, lo que comentabas de acuerdo a lo que es que la comunidad desconoce. Yo creo que en realidad
the community does not know about SDGs, but I think that sometimes the community does more for SDGs than professionals themselves. I believe that communities are working on many things. There are recyclers, there are people who reduce and reuse and recycle. There are many people who sometimes maybe they are not professionals, but they work and they don't know who are working related to a goal. And maybe we think that this is the opportunity of educating and disseminating all this outlook, because not everyone knows about the goals. Maybe, you know, at the hairdressers we should have the SDGs so that hairdressers, stylists could share the goals to the beneficiaries. And regarding articulation of the work networks, so as to do this service learning not only from an area but from an interdisciplinary area. And lastly, so that we can differentiate with students what are the goals that we can work on. And I believe that something that's very important is that in order to do this service learning, we need to have gone through the experience. I don't know, because it's like an encounter with the youth, with the spirit. You have to experience it because you need to go through this service learning experience. And you don't need to believe always what speakers say. That is always important because what we tell is our experience, and you need to have your own experience. You need to find your own truth, and in order for you to find your own truth, you need to have gone through the experience. Thank you very much. So we will close now because we are getting the rest of the participants, and thank you for this time. Please stay here because we have the closure panel, and this will be the heart also of this Congress. Thank you, as Paula said. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your experiences, and thank you, everyone, for participating and engaging. Please, let's come back at 5 because we have the closure panel that it's usually the best.